Welcome to the Rebound Rundown. I'm your host, Paul Frischner. This is your daily digest college basketball show that covers everything you need to know about your favorite team. From game previews to recaps to press conferences and breakdowns, we have you covered. Every Monday through Friday with your morning commute, wherever you get your podcast, and make sure you subscribe on YouTube.
Joined now by Xavier's Dante Maddox on the Rebound Rundown. Dante, it's great to catch up with you. For everybody that is watching right now on YouTube, make sure you go subscribe to the channel for plenty more content coming up. And if you're listening in audio form, make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening. But Dante, there's a few things I want to talk to you about today. First of all, I want to congratulate you on the end of your season, making a run to the NCAA Tournament, getting to play in the tournament. We're going to talk about all of that. But one other thing I want to make sure we talk about today is what it's like to be in the transfer portal, and not just to hear from schools, all of that. I mean, really what it's like day in and day out, hearing from coaches, putting your name in the portal, all of that. But before we get to the portal, ending the season at Xavier, winning what you did at the end of the regular season, playing as well as you did, really turning a corner personally and propelling this Xavier team into the NCAA tournament. Take us through February with Xavier from your standpoint and what it was like to play in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. First, thank you for having me, Paul. You know, it's good to be back on the podcast. But, you know, going through February, I think I can speak for everybody on our team. It was definitely like a desperation type mode. You know, we all were, you know, feeling confident, not on with our level of play, but not necessarily the outcomes. It was some close things that happened, but with the combination of the games coming ahead and at the level that we were playing, we knew that we were going to be able to do some really good things, even if people didn't think so as much. And then going into the tournament, you know, that was amazing, an amazing experience. We got to play in probably the craziest game I've ever played in my life, and against Texas, and it was just the crowd, our fans, man, second to none, man. It was a blessing for sure.
I've said a lot over the last week, and it's hard to believe we're sitting here recording this on Wednesday. It's what is it? It's 3:00 Wednesday right now. It hasn't even been a full week since you played that game, and it feels like there is a lot that's happened in the last 7 days since you guys made that trip to UD Arena. But looking back on that, and what that game was like, playing just 45 minutes up the road in front of, to me, what I've said, Dante, over the last week is that is a game that anybody that was in attendance, any Xavier fan that was there especially, is going to remember for a long time.
They won't forget that. Like, I won't forget that for sure. You know, I've played in some decent games. That was a special one.
When you came out of the tunnel and you heard that initial pop.
Wow. Now it was like, I remember hearing Texas first. I heard like their crowd and how they was going for the Longhorns, and I was like, oh, this is crazy. But then I heard our response and how loud we were. I said, no, this is different. Like this is so different.
So you get down in the first half, and I think the way you played in the first half of that game really was what kept Xavier in it, because for as well as Texas was shooting, it felt like they were throwing everything in, and you all were still able to stay in it, be down by enough to keep it manageable, and then in the second half really turn things around both defensively and offensively. What was the message like at halftime, Dante? What was it like as a group to go in there, regroup, and then come out and win the game?
Yeah, exactly that. It was just like a regroup. We understood that they were playing at a high level, and that it just felt like we were being a little outmatched, you know, at that moment. But then you look up at the score and it's like, wait, hold on, it's an 8-point game. Like we right here, and felt like we didn't do much right, especially defensively. But they were hitting, the center was hitting threes, people getting friendly rolls, shooting contested fadeaways, and they were falling. You know, testament to them, you know, as talented players. But we knew that if we just stayed with our process and just shored some things up, that we was going to be able to balance that out.
Big John hits a three into a defensive stop into
Man.
a Conwell outlet to a Dalen Swain and one. That minute sequence was what completely changed the game.
That's stuck in my head. That will never leave. Like that sequence was crazy when Big John hit that three. And like the bench, everybody was up. It was like, oh my goodness, he shot it with confidence. I'm a player's player, so like I got like maybe too much confidence in our guys. Like it was no question if I thought it was going in. So that boy went in, and then we come back, get the steal, and got the N1.
Yeah,
it was crazy.
All right, Dante, let's talk about the transfer portal because it opened a couple of days ago. This year's portal opened a couple of days ago. You finished your college eligibility. It's time for you to take a step out of your college career and move on. But I think it's interesting to hear from your perspective because you had a lot of high-profile schools to pick from last year. There's no doubt about that. It was pretty widely reported. There were some pretty high-level schools interested in you. You chose to come to Xavier. From the second your season ended last season to committing to Xavier, I want you to walk everybody through the process because everybody listening to this hears about the portal. They see the number that 1,200 players have already entered the portal in the first 72 hours here this year. But from deciding to enter the portal to hearing from coaches, walk us through the whole thing.
From a player's perspective, it's very long. You know, those are some of the longest 24-hour days that you'll face. Because even, I mean, thinking about like here at Xavier, how it's literally just like you said, a week ago we were just playing, and so much has changed since. And as a player, that's constantly happening. So, you know, not only are you thinking about the universities and the schools that might be interested or that want you, you also got to look at the fact like what direction are they going? Where's the staff going? You know, it's a whirlwind of things. You know, people get promoted, people have to leave, and it's constantly moving. It doesn't stop. It's not going to stop before you. It's not going to stop during, and it's not going to stop after you. You know, that's kind of how it felt. You know, so like for me personally, I was in the portal for a couple weeks. It was the longest couple weeks of my life, but I didn't get in right away. I just wanted to see if things would die down first. And they didn't. You know, as soon as I got in, it was crazy. You know, you as a player, it's a combination of dealing with like, wow, I'm really hearing from some of these schools, from some of these coaches, hearing their voices on the phone, hearing that they know me. You know, coming from where I started at Cal State Fullerton, you know, a smaller D1 university. So going from that to hearing Sean Miller, you know, talk to me and tell me that, you know, he's interested and that he enjoys my game and how I play. I mean, that's a lot to take in when you get 6 of those calls in a day. So it's a lot. It's a lot to decipher. It's a lot. It's like speed dating. That's the best way to put it. It's like speed dating. You know, the ones that are genuinely interested, they stay around. And then it's like you get the initial push of the people who, hey, I'm this school, we're interested, but they're doing that to a whole bunch of people. So you got to kind of be able to maneuver through and see what's just people talking and then who really values you. And that's a tough thing to do.
So when you're on Twitter, you see a list, you know, Dante Maddox has entered the portal, and then 12 hours later, you see a list of like 50 different schools that have reached out to you. Is it coaches texting you, or some of them separate themselves by trying to call you? Is it reaching out through an agent, your family? Yeah,
so for me, it was mostly directly to me. Like, I wasn't a fan or didn't believe into the whole agency thing. You know, I was a very old-fashioned type of guy. So most coaches, when they reached out to me directly. And through that, they were able to get my family's information, etc. So, but it's crazy. Most of the ones who reached out to me, they'll text you first, or they might call, depending. And then just who they are. I don't think it's a representation of their interest level if they do either. Just that first initial conversation, they might ask like, "Hey, if you got time, I want to talk or get on a Zoom or whatever, build a relationship, you know, during this short period of time." And for me personally, a couple of them kind of took off. A couple of them, it was like, I'm okay, and I think that's kind of what I'll say for the players who are well touted, who will have a lot of options. That's kind of how it feels, Do
you get a chance to come visit Xavier, or do you come to Xavier sight unseen?
No, I came to visit. That was my last visit, but I also came visiting in the back of my mind, knowing that I was coming to, for the most part. Like I made sure that Xavier was the last school that I visited, because I knew that was going to be the last school I visited. Yeah.
What separated Xavier from everybody else?
Consistency. The consistency of, how much that they value how I played, how much, they wanted me. And from day one of being in the portal, and they reached out, communicated, to the end, it was the exact same. Yep. So that's something that resonated with me. Speaking that, in all honesty, this conference was for sure the conference that I heard from the most. Like the Big East, I heard from relatively everybody, but a couple schools. So that I knew that like this conference, I was gonna have a lot of options in it. But I think Xavier separated that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you hear from friends, other players, guys you might have played with that went elsewhere, whatever it might be? Just other stories you hear from the portal of other guys' experiences. Do you think that the way that other guys handle the portal is something that you're glad you avoided because you did it all yourself? Do you hear? I think sometimes it might get overblown that there are a lot of horror stories from the portal, or maybe that is what happens, and we just don't know because it's kind of the Wild West. Mm-hmm. So,
unfortunately, there's no right formula. There's no cheat code to understanding if somebody's being transparent or not in terms of with the portal. With the season, so much happens. Coaches genuinely might mean what they say at the time, and then things happen, things change. You look up, and it wasn't what you initially thought it would be.
Yeah.
So it's so many different stories you hear. It's no one way. Sometimes people hit the lottery, and it didn't come in, and it wasn't supposed to be that. And sometimes it was supposed to be the lottery, and then it wasn't that. I've heard so many of in between the highs and lows. I've seen, and I've heard, my friends talk about it. So, it's a tough process to navigate. Honestly, I look at it the same as going into any other business. Sometimes it's luck. Sometimes it's timing. Being at the right place at the right time could set you up to do amazing things.
Sure.
All those things play an account. Yeah.
Two final questions for you to wrap this up. First one is, I've reshared this clip a lot over the last couple of weeks, and it's a clip that you had from the docuseries from one of the episodes towards the end of January. I think it was episode 4, where you sat down in front of the camera and you said, paraphrasing, "We know things haven't gone as great as everybody expected coming into the season, but I truly believe that there are great things on the horizon. There are good things to come. And essentially, you guys just got to believe in us that we're going to turn things around." And I kept putting that tweet out. I know you saw it. We kept publishing that because as the weeks went along and as you guys kept winning games, it was so true. What gave you the confidence when you sat down with us in whatever that was, late December, early January? Yeah. What gave you the confidence to be able to say that?
Just the group of guys that we had. We genuinely, had some great guys, man. These are great people. They really are. I have no complaints at all about any of my teammates. I genuinely love them. They are good people at heart. And they work hard, and we're putting all we have into it. For one reason or another, at the time, it just didn't click right away like people wanted it to. And that's life. That's not just basketball. That happens a lot in life. For me, what gave me that confidence is knowing that I'm around these group of guys, and also personally having the discernment to understand that this is something that I've experienced so many times throughout my life. So many times did it not look well. So many times was I personally doubted, and I wouldn't be here if I didn't overcome those things. You know, out of high school, I was the top. I was 60 in my own state.
Yeah.
You know, and that's where it started at. And to end, I was the top 3 player in Illinois. So like, it's just been a constant journey of going to Cal State Fullerton, ending up at Xavier. You know, starting off having down moments, down years, figuring it out. You know, life for me has been constantly keep going and figuring it out. So I just knew, like when I said that, I really meant it. Like I knew that this was gonna turn around, and it didn't look likely. Like we almost went undefeated. Like the odds from what people have saw to believe that Xavier could have done what they did, it didn't look logical. But sometimes you got to look past that, and I believed, and I knew that it was going to end up positively, and that's what happened. So
I think a lot of people latched on to your play style, and I mean, you had some electric moments this year. Your shot selection, everything else, the way you played the game allowed this fan base to really latch on to Dante Maddox and have fun watching you play. My last question for you, Dante, is what do you hope Xavier fans remember about you personally, this team, and this group coming from your perspective? What do you hope people remember about you guys and you specifically going forward?
I'll speak for the team first. I'll say for the team, I hope everybody remembers that we had genuine warriors, like genuine people who fought through so much to be able to even play again. Like so many trials and tribulations that our team genuinely had. We had a group that was unbreakable. You know, you couldn't break them individually, but as a collective, you know, and that's something that I hope, and I think they will, Xavier fans will remember. Speaking on me in particular, I know that like you said, like the play style is going to be something that people remember, but I also hope people genuinely remember what I was really about. Like I was genuinely about winning, you know. I played to win, you know, whatever that took in the role that I was in, whatever I could do to help the team win, that's what I did. You know, from one night, the stat line might look this way. From another night, it might look totally different. But the impact was going to be there, you know, most of the time because I understood it wasn't necessarily about me. I wanted to be a part of something bigger than myself, you know. And in retrospect, we did that. You know, we had some great that Texas, the fact that we were even there making that tournament, that moment, like those were what I was talking about. Because going back in January, just seeing if we could just clip where it was when we played St. John's and at home, and our fans was just highly disappointed in our play. To if we got a group of those same people on Selection Sunday, seeing the difference of what it would have been. It's just remarkable to me. Like it really was. So for me personally, remember all the shots and the way I played and, you know, coming off the screen, shooting threes, off balance, all that. That's all fun and games, but that's not all. It was rooted in winning and trying to be a winner. So that's it.
What does the future look like for Dante Maddox?
You know, trying to start my pro career. You know, I feel like, again, another statement, like I'm going to be somebody who make a lot of money playing. That's the goal. I think I'm going to play the game at an extremely high level and be memorable wherever I'm at, hopefully like I was here at Xavier. So hopefully that those same cycles will continue, and I'll be able to look back whenever I hang the shoes up and say, you got the most out of your body. You got the most out of it. And not only that, you genuinely impacted people. You know, here at Xavier, here at Toledo, even in California, whether that's playing on the NBA floor or whether that's in China, Japan, Europe, wherever it is, I plan on having a genuine impact on where my feet are.
Well, Dante, congratulations on your career here at Xavier this season, what you accomplished, what you all did as a team. I know a lot of people watching and listening to this really appreciated everything that you guys put forward, especially that run that will be so memorable toward the end of the season. So congratulations.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. And for everybody that's watching this on YouTube right now, again, make sure you subscribe. If you're watching it, you can listen to the rest of this episode in audio form, all of that. You can find the links for all that down in the description. For Dante, I'm Paul Frischner. Thanks for listening, everybody.